So as Danielle said, I have two boys. I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, a senior in high school and a freshman in high school. And one of the things I was thinking about a few weeks ago as I knew my turn was coming up here was I asked my son Joey, he's 15, a freshman, I said, Joey, when was the last time you missed a day of school? And he got on his phone, he looks, they have the WITS email system that they can look up, he goes, 6th grade. I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. How about before that? He goes, I don't know. He lost interest at that point. He didn't want to go through. So I asked Jack a few days later, I said, Jack, when was the last time you missed a day of school? And he goes, 9th grade. I'm like, all right, he's a senior in high school. He hasn't missed a day of school since 9th grade. So I go, how about before that? He goes, I don't know. They lose interest very quickly. They don't want to play dad's games. So the reason I bring that up is, I wanted to make sure that people understand by my talk today that chiropractic is so much more than pain relief. 99% of the people, and I just made that number up, but I'm pretty sure it's close. 99% of the people that see a chiropractor for the first time see a chiropractor for pain relief. And it's not the fault of the person or chiropractors, it's just the fault of our healthcare paradigm in the United States. We don't really truly have a healthcare paradigm, we have a disease care paradigm. So what we have is we have people going in because they have an illness, they get a drug, and that suppresses that symptom that they go in for. But rarely do we do something that oftentimes takes care of the cause of that illness. We have that, again, reactive thing. So what I wanted to explain to you is why I brought up the fact that my sons are rarely sick, hardly ever. It's because through chiropractic, it's not just pain relief, it's about optimizing the body's capability of performing to what it's supposed to do. And how we do that is based on science. It's not based on hypothesis, it's not based on conjecture or theories, it's based on science that the brain controls and coordinates every single thing in the human body. And the brain sits up here in our skull, right? An extension of the brain is the spinal cord. It's a soft tissue extension that comes down from the brain. The brain and the spinal cord compose the central nervous system. Now, branching out from the spinal cord, we have nerve roots, these little yellow things that branch out, and they go to every single cell, tissue, and organ in the body, including the musculoskeletal system. So now, surrounding the brain, we have the skull, right? It's hard to protect it because remember, the brain is soft tissue. Well, the extension of the brain, the spinal cord, is also soft tissue, so we need something to protect that. And that's where we have these bones called vertebrae. Now, each vertebra is designed to move independently. And that's allowing us to turn our heads, bend and do 9 rounds as much as we want to, right? Otherwise, if it was like the skull, we'd just be walking around like this, all stiff. And a lot of people do that. What happens is the brain sends a signal down the spinal cord, out the nerve roots to every single part of the body. That's how it communicates. Now, when things happen, there are certain things that go on that can actually prevent that message from getting from the brain down the spinal cord out to the nerve root. And there's like different types of stresses. There's physical, chemical, and emotional stresses that can actually hinder that nerve flow. And what happens typically, and what I as a chiropractor check, is I check to make sure that this spinal column, the pelvis, everything is balanced and motioning and moving properly. Because say for example, you have a physical stress like a car accident. You have a whiplash injury. The muscular system is going to contract, it's going to compress on the vertebra, and instead of moving independently, these vertebrae are going to jam together, and that jamming together of the vertebra can compress the nerve flow to prevent that nerve flow from getting to the end organ. Does everybody understand that so far? So think about this. You have nerve flow from the brain down the spinal cord, out the nerve root, and there's a problem in your mid-back. Say that nerve is innervating or controlling the pancreas. We all know that the pancreas basically secretes insulin to regulate our blood sugar level, right? We secrete insulin, lowers the blood sugar level, everybody's happy. But say, for example, 100 million nerve impulses are supposed to go from the brain down the spinal cord, out the nerve root to the pancreas, but because there's a fixation in that area, what's called a subluxation in that area, then only 50 million get there. The pancreas is still going to function, right? It's still going to be functioning at a certain level. It just isn't functioning at its optimal capacity. So maybe it's not going to be able to regulate the blood sugar level the way it's supposed to. And if you have an elevated blood sugar level, what do you have? Diabetes, right? So what I, as a chiropractor, do is I go in, I balance the spinal column, and I take care of that fixation in that area or wherever they occur in the spine. And so that same concept goes throughout the entire body. If you have nerve flow that's being hindered or prevented going out to the bowel, you might be constipated. You might have acid reflux if it's going to the stomach, but it's not enough getting there, right? So we have to make sure that the body is functioning to its optimal capacity. And I brought up my sons in the beginning. 70 to 80% of our immune system is the gut, from the time it goes in our mouth out the other end. If that part of your body is not functioning properly, if it's not functioning to its optimal capacity, your immune system is depressed, and therefore you're going to be sick more frequently, all right? So what I'd like everybody to do, pick up the green pamphlet that's in front of you. This is just an option. This is an idea to show you when you have what's called a subluxation or fixation in certain parts of the spine, these are just some of the symptoms that you may encounter, okay? That's the whole idea, is to remove those fixations to allow the nerve flow to go from the brain, down the spinal cord, out the nerve root, to make sure that the body is functioning to its optimal capacity. Okay? Now, go ahead and put the green pamphlets down. Yeah, I know, it's really interesting. You're going to want to take a look at it later. So, one of the things, the other pamphlet that I don't want you to look at just yet is called the Windsor autopsies. The Windsor autopsies actually took place almost 100 years ago. And Dr. Windsor, who was a medical doctor, took a look, and I'll just give you the Cliff's Notes version of this, took a look at over 200 and some odd diseased organs. And he found a direct correlation at almost 100% of the diseased organs had degeneration or some kind of dysfunction at the spinal level that innervated that diseased organ. There's a reason why people that are my age, in their 50s, are on 2 or more types of medication. They're trying, again, I go back to that healthcare paradigm or disease care paradigm that we have. We take medication to suppress a symptom. We don't take care of the structure that's surrounding our central nervous system. Dentists do a phenomenal job at saying you got to get your teeth checked every 6 months, right? Because we see our teeth. Orthodontists, they want you to have nice straight teeth. People want to have nice straight teeth because you can see them. People want to take care of their skin because you can see the skin. But you cannot see the structure that's surrounding our central nervous system. And it's an incredibly important structure to make sure that it's functioning the way it's designed to. Because once these vertebrae get stuck together through trauma, through chemical stresses, through emotional stresses, marriage, financial problems, kids driving you up the wall, driving you absolutely nuts, you know what I mean? You know, they can do that, right? They can fixate that spine. And when they get stuck like that, degeneration can take place. And as Dr. Windsor found out, in nearly 100% of the cases, the diseased organ had degeneration or some kind of dysfunction at the spinal level that innervated that. So, who are good referrals for me? As I mention every week, obviously, you know, if you've had any kind of trauma or something like that, it's a great referral. But for what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for families that understand now the importance of taking care of the structure that surrounds your central nervous system. If you have children, if you know a family that has children that are sick all the time, if you have friends that they're sick all the time, that they're always taking a Z-Pack or some kind of antibiotic, if they're always, you know, if they have to take ibuprofen every single morning just to kind of wake up and get by for that day, if you have a friend or a family member that, you know, has the traditional pains associated with what chiropractors are, those are outstanding referrals for me. Again, what I'm truly looking for this practice is to make sure that people are more holistic, more preventative in their nature. Not disease care. We're truly talking health care with chiropractic.